Hey everyone, it's Ellis, and this is the patch 13.1b patch notes rundown. Yes, I did end up not doing 13.1, and the reason for that is because I was gone for a very long time. If you saw my tweet earlier today on Twitter, then you'll know that I made a tweet that my testing and everything is officially done, and I have an official diagnosis, so probably tomorrow or the day after this video is uploaded onto YouTube, there's going to be a very important video that I'm going to be uploading on YouTube that will explain why I was gone after Worlds and why I wasn't really around a lot and everything that has been going on with me. And so that was why 13.1 was not there. However, let's get into 13.1b. I've been back now for about a week or so, streaming like 70 hours or something in the last week, doing all the co-streams. It's a much more intense schedule than even 2020, and so I'm having a lot of fun playing League and watching League, and 13.1b is supposed to be the actual preseason, apparently, as this is going to be a massive patch. So let's get into it. There is a lot of changes to go through. So, Gangplank, AD growth decreased. E bonus damage on critical strikes decreased. AD growth is down by 0.3. And the Powder Keg, bonus damage on critical strike chance, 10% to 5%. These are pretty big nerfs to Gangplank, but they did say with the ADC changes coming this patch, GP is going to strike Treasure to make sure this haul isn't too lucrative. We're preemptively nerfing him so that his endgame power will roughly equal to what it is currently on live. This is fine. We'll have to think about this when we see those changes. Heimerdinger, Q current health decreased, W magic damage decreased. Q, H28G evolution turret. Turret health 175 to 700 based on level, plus 5 to 40% based on level AP, to 130 to 640 based on level, to 5 to 45% based on level AP. W Hextech Micro Rockets, initial magic damage 50 to 150 plus 45%, to 40 to 145 plus 55%. So his W is actually buffed. So his W is buffed. His W is massively buffed. The turret health thing is really big because it changes a lot of the bot lane support matchups that now his turrets are going to be a lot easier to manage in lane. This is also going to be really big for trying to deal with like top lane Heimerdinger or mid lane Heimerdinger, even though they're much less common. This is a very big nerf to Heimerdinger. He's still going to be there when you want that control, but this is going to make it so that he is a lot less oppressive now down in bot lane. Kassadin, E cooldown increased. E Force Pulse, 21 to 13 to 21 to 17. I really don't think that this matters. So again, the rank 1, so there's definitely instances where you go Q to 3 points and then you max E, and then there's other instances where you just max E. It does depend on the lane. Having 4 seconds added to it with the amount of power that Kassadin got with the Rod of Ages and the Seraph's change, I don't think this really matters. He has so much ability haste. He got access to so much ability haste that he wasn't having before. Having 4 seconds slapped on, especially with the change that they did to it, I think that this is fine. Okay, Kindred, Q base damage decrease. Q Dance of Arrows, 60 to 160 plus 75% bonus AD, plus change to 50 to 150 plus 75% bonus AD. Definitely a nerf, but again, Kindred probably on the receiving end of the items that are coming in this patch, so we'll have to take a look again. Lilia, passive AP scaling increased, Q AP scaling increased, EAP scaling increased, cooldowns now decrease with rank. Oh my lord. Magic damage, Dream-Laden Bow. Magic damage 5 plus 1.2% per 100 AP of target's max health to 5 plus 1.5% per 100 AP of target's maximum health. Lilia doesn't get a whole lot of AP. I guess what they're trying to do here is they're trying to make her go back to the demonic Leandri's build, and they're trying not to make her like tanky. Q Blooming Blows. Okay, that's a tongue twister. Magic damage 35 to 75 plus 40% AP to 35 to 75 plus 45% AP. Outer Edge True Damage 35 to 75 plus 40% AP to 35 to 75 plus 45% AP. So again, 5% AP. Lilia, again, as a jungler, you don't get massive amounts of ability power. So these are very negligible almost amounts of damage that she is getting. I mean, the true damage is definitely nice, but again, it's very little because she doesn't get a lot of AP. E, Swirl Seed. Magic damage, 70 to 170 plus 45%, 70 to 170 plus 60, that one's pretty big, 15% AP. Cooldown 16 seconds at all ranks to 14 seconds at all ranks. That is really big because of how spammable this is. This is Lilia's whole bread and butter. This is what Lilia is all about in competitive, is her E. It's throwing the E, trying to ding someone with it, getting that burn, and then having the ability to activate the R. The fact that her E, which is her core ability in pro player, it's what defines her. It's what defines her control, and it's what defines her setup, the posturing, right? The dragon dances, the baron dances, etc. This is absolutely massive that Riot's doing this. This is absolutely a pro play-centric buff because of those standoffs and everything that's going to happen. This is very, very big. Lilia buff's very massive. Just because of that E, not really because of the other stuff above. But, I mean, it all ties in. Lucian, base mana decreased, growth increased, buffed at level 9. Base mana regen decreased, growth increased, buffed at level 14. Okay. Lucian and Nami are overtaking the pro scene, which means we need to address them. Unfortunately, Lucian, as is, doesn't fare too well in the hands of non-elite players. We're lowering his lane bullying potential, about 10% less at mana at level 1, while making him more forgiving to play at later levels. Okay, so I think these changes are fine. Lucian Nami is like really funny because it ended up becoming a mid-game combo, not really laning. If anyone's been watching a lot of pro play lately, you'll actually see that Lucian Nami typically doesn't actually win lane. In fact, a lot of lanes beat it, or just completely neutralize it, and then it becomes like what ends up happening in sort of mid-game and whatnot. So this is actually pretty funny. Ultimately, I think the changes are fine. Maokai. Q bonus damage to monsters decreased. E magic damage decreased. This is really sad. Q Bramble Smash. Bonus damage to monsters 120 to 200 to 100 to 180. This will definitely hurt us clear. E Sapling Toss 55 to 155 plus 6% bonus, 40% AP. 55 155 plus 5% bonus health, 35% AP. So let's actually ask what this does. So Maokai, as it stands right now, typically he goes Demonic Embrace. So you're losing 5% AP off of 100, so you're losing 5 damage on his Z, most likely, something like that, right? You're losing like 5 damage there. 1% of his bonus health. What is even his bonus health? 1,000? So you're losing like what is going on? What is going on here? So you're losing like 15 to 20 damage, maybe 25 on a sapling toss. And that's like late game or something, right? Or like mid late game. Empowered sapling damage 110 to 310 plus 12% bonus health to 80% AP. So 110 to 310. Plus 10% bonus health, plus 70% AP. Okay, so this one definitely hurts. Okay, so losing the 10% on the empowered as well as the 2% bonus health. Okay, so this one hurts a little bit more. If you still go like Leandre's and Demonic, you'll still be hitting really hard, but this does make Maokai come a little bit more in line. The thing is that you don't really feel these nerfs until way later. When you have a lot of HP and AP accumulation, right? So early on, it's gonna be relatively negligible. Maokai's still gonna be extremely strong. Don't get it twisted. Nami, W adjusted E based damage decreased. W ebb and flow magic damage 70 to 230 plus 50% AP to 60 to 220 plus 55% AP. So they're buffing her AP. Typically, she only gets mandate. And because she only gets mandate after that, unless you go like Staff of Flowing Water, she is just going to be nerfed. Having this nerfed early on at like level 1 is definitely going to take her down a little bit. E Tidecaller's Blessing, bonus magic damage on hit, 25 to 85 plus 20% AP to 20 to 80 plus 20% AP. So, yeah, Nami's brought down a little bit. This is really sad because she's only being brought down because of Lucian, so I hope that Riot revisits her at some point in the future and they can figure out a better way to, do something for all the Nami players. Okay, Orianna changes. Passive damage adjusted, Q damage increased to consecutive targets, W mana cost decreased, R damage increased. Okay, passive. Clockwork Windup. So, if you guys saw my preview thing on the highlights channel, then what you would have ended up seeing is that I talked about how the Orianna changes are a placebo buff. And if you guys have been on my stream or you heard me talk about like some tidbits of the conversation that I had with Riot Froxen when I went on a 4-hour hike with him in Korea, I asked about a lot of things and like why certain champions don't just get buffed more or nerfed more and all this other stuff. And I talked about the importance of placebo buffs because they can remind pro players that the champion exists, and because the mass majority of pro players and pro play is very feeling based. They go off of their feelings, not necessarily what is actually accurate or something like that. It's important to, I think, add placebo buffs or changes into patches to try to nudge the meta or something like that. And I think that this is exactly one of them. So let me explain why this is a placebo buff. So TikTok, 10 to 50 at levels 1, 4, 7, 10, 13, 16 to 10 to 50 levels 1 to 18. Damage is totally unchanged, which means that unless there's some specific breakpoint here with like CSing, this probably doesn't do anything. It adds very negligible amounts of damage. You're talking probably less than like 10 per like recall or something in laning phase. So that's something that we have to contextualize. Now, command attack, pass-through damage reduction. The ball deals 100% damage to the first target hit, and damage afterwards is reduced by 10% per enemy hit. The ball deals 100% damage. The first target hit and damage afterwards is reduced to 70% to all enemies after the first hit. Again, really good Orianna players are already controlling this, which means that this is something that is not likely to really affect pro play or elite play. W command dissonance, not her last max ability. It's an ability that it doesn't have points in it until Orianna already has lost chapter and tier, which means that the fact that it's getting mana reduced doesn't do anything because the rank 1 is unchanged, which means that even though the mana cost is going down, it's not something that you actually feel in laning phase, because once you have lost chapter and once you have tier, you don't notice your mana because Orianna is just perma, high mana, and it doesn't do anything. R command Shockwave, magic damage 200 to 350 plus 80% to 250 to 450 plus 90%. So Orianna can get high AP values later. Later, she'll probably have like 600, which means that this is going to be 60. So she's getting about 160 on her R, and that's at level 16 or something, right? So she's getting 75 plus maybe 30 here. So she's getting like 105 or something, probably in mid game on her R. 105 damage on her R is not what was preventing pro players from picking Orianna. And certainly something that probably doesn't, and someone can correct me if I'm wrong, does not alter the CSing of minions in the early laning phase, also is not what was preventing pro players. So if Orianna suddenly starts being picked again, it's because people have been reminded that she exists, and simply because she exists and they play her and they feel like she's good and they're having fun with her because she's a lane neutralizer and she feels very oppressive in mid and late game, that is what's actually going on there. We typically see this with Azir. These are beautiful placebo buffs in that regard, even though, yes, they are objectively buffs. Okay, Rise. So magic resistance, 36 to 32. Passive Arcane Mastery, increase maximum mana, 10% per 100 to 6% per 100 AP. Wow, okay. So that's actually that's a very big nerf to Rise. He's still going to be picked for these same exact reasons, except now some of those champions that you pick against him in mid lane to try to give him pushback, like Victor or something, Azir, Orianna is actually an answer to Rise. She not only thematically counters him in mid-game, late-game standoffs, etc. She's also relatively okay against him inside of laning phase. Yes, Rise can still do the push and shove type stuff, and that's like going to be a playstyle thing that ends up happening, and that's just a natural development of the game when you opt into that matchup. But definitely having that loss of magic resistance makes him prone to not only the enemy mid laner, but likely the enemy jungler, support, etc. So yeah, I mean, these are fair nerfs. Udyr, the single best champion in the game and a complete ghost in literally every region right now, except for the best region, LCS, which is starting later this week. And we hope that Udyr will show his face there. There is no current stronger champion in the game. He is literally the god champion in the game right now, and yet no one is playing him in pro play. It is the most confusing thing. QAD scaling decreased, attack speed increased, R base damage decreased. So Udyr has a variation of different builds, different itemization, different skill order, obviously. Udyr's just a monster. Wild and Claw, 3 to 8% plus 5% per 100 bonus AD to 3 to 8 plus 4%. So they're nerfing his lethality like one-shot nuke. Bonus attack speed 20 to 70 to 20 to 80. They're giving a little bit more attack speed so he can weave in things. And now R Wingborn Storm, 10 to 60 to 10 to 55. I don't think this does. No, Udyr's still God. He's still just gonna. So it's base damage per tick. He's still just gonna be God. I mean that's just how it is. This is definitely a nerf. Like you'll start to feel it later on, but. He's still absolutely going to be God. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Yuumi, attack range decreased. Passive now temporarily increases attack range. Attack range 500 to 425. Passive now temporarily increases attack range. That's interesting. Attack range 500 to 425. Base attack damage 55 to 49. Wow, okay. Base health 550 to 500. Base health regen 7 to 5. Okay, she's a lot more vulnerable in laning phase. Passive Bop and Block. When Bop and Block is ready, Yuumi will gain 25 bonus range. Oh, wow. She only gets back her old attack range. Wow. Shield strength 60 to 380 to 45 to 300. Wow, okay. She's becoming a lot less durable all around. W, You and Me. Adaptive Force 12 to 20 plus 12 to 20% of bonus. 12 to 20 plus 6 to... Wow. Wow, she's getting tagged. Zoomies, movement speed, removed. What? AP. Oh, okay. AP ratio removed. Oh, okay. Just 20%. Oh my lord, they tagged her. Wow. Okay, and again, it's preemptive because of the ADCs. I think that's okay. That's fine. Okay, so she's really becoming more of a support. Zoe, E now reduces the opponent's magic resist when asleep. E Sleepy Trouble Bubble. Putting the trouble in the bubble. Enemies inflicted with sleep from Zoe's Sleepy Trouble Bubble will have their magic resistance reduced by 20 to 30%. Note the debuff disappears when the target is woken up. So this is really big in early laning. When you land the bubble, it really helps Zoe with setting up like lethal. I think this is more of a buff for support Zoe. If you guys haven't seen, like me and Trimby did, the videos back in, a couple months ago, support Zoe stuff. I think support is where Zoe's best role actually is. Just unfortunately, there's too many bad matchups for her in mid lane right now. And when you put her in mid lane, you allocate a lot of gold for not much return because her entire gameplay comes down to her bubble anyway. But in support, she gets access to, obviously, support mythic, the mono region. She gets access to everything, and she still has that E, which is why you're picking her. And so in that regard, this is massive because in support, she's doing a lot more E's because she's always fishing for them, whereas in mid lane, you don't kind of have that luxury. And then it transitions into the mid game very smoothly. Fighter item adjustments. All right, so now we're moving on to the items. So Omnivamp missing from Eclipse. Doesn't really matter. I'll be totally honest with you. This isn't really doing anything. The ability haste going up by 15 is actually nutsoid, I think, more than the Omnivamp, which is usually negligible in general. Shield cooldown 8 seconds for melee champions, 16 for range, to 6 seconds for melee, 12 seconds for range. That's definitely very nice. You can actually probably get this 2 times in a fight. So you're going to have to keep that in mind. Item recipe. I also wonder what happens when you have ability haste on items. You actually might just be able to... So if you have ability haste on item and you keep getting the shield, that's actually going to be kind of nuts. And then item recipe, Serrated Dirk, Longsword, Vampiric, to Serrated Dirk, Caulfield's Warhammer. So this feels a lot better to build. This feels a lot better to build, and now, I mean, longswords are everyone's best friends. Okay, and then, cool, so I don't know how to pronounce this, I'm so sorry, getting, an extra 5 ability haste, when you upgrade it, okay. Gore Drinker, Mythic Passive, 7 ability haste to 50 health, 3 ability haste, this is way better, you're gonna end up getting 100, you're gonna get 100 HP in exchange for losing 8 ability haste. I think that's totally fine. I think in mid-game, I think that's totally fine. I think everyone is going to agree that that is really good. Ravenous Hydra, 10% Omnivamp to 10% Lifesteal. This is painful for all of the the casters, so like Alawi, Graves, Atrox. Like this is really brutal to lose the Omnivamp and just get the Lifesteal. Definitely Graves and like Jhin or like some of the any of the 80 carries that utilize just the Lifesteal portion of it. I think are going to be okay, but for all the other like Ravenous Hydra AoE abusers, it does feel bad. The ability haste goes up by 5. Cleave will now also trigger Lifesteal. That's fine. Maul Malmortius, Lifeline Omnivamp, 10% Omnivamp, plus 12% Lifesteal. That's, it feels bad, but again, what can you do? Attack damage 55 to 65, that's a very big buff. Ability haste, however, is going to 0. Okay, so it really will just feel like a pure magic resistance item. I think that's fine. Death's Dance, attack damage 55 to 65, very nice. Armor up by 5, ability haste down, okay. Defy healing on takedown, 100% bonus 80 to 50%. Ooh. I mean, you're not going to really get that heal, but you're still going to build the item for why you want to build it. Black Cleaver, oh my lord, it's just getting buffed. If anyone keeps building Chempunk, I'm going to lose my mind. The amount of incompetence in every region, from the players still building Chempunk Chainsword first item on certain junglers, is nauseating. Black Cleaver is just a superior item all around, and now it's even better to just get this item first. There's going to be no reason. This is a mythic, or this is a non-mythic mythic. This is an item that you can just build first on a lot of champions because it has so many stats and it has so many effects, and this should now be the go-to item that is just going to be rushed first for those non-mythic mythics, and I would expect to see this a lot inside of the jungle on the junglers that were all previously building Chempunk. Grievous Wounds adjustments. Grievous Wounds necessary effect. Okay, so Oblivion Orb going to go down by 5 AP, and it's going to get 15% increased Grievous Wounds. Okay, so it didn't actually. Okay, so it didn't lose as much ability power as I thought that it was going to lose. I thought it was losing more. And okay, so it goes up by 15%. Chemtech Putrefier. So ability power down by 20. The build path has been changed to include a Forbidden Idol. Ability haste down by 5, increased shielding healed by 8%. This is a massive buff because typically you get Chemtech Putrefier on the enchanters or, champions that have the ability to afflict others and all that other good stuff. Massive buff to Chemtech Putrefier, very big for all the enchanters. Ivern especially really likes building this because typically when you had Moonstone and you build Chemtech Putrefier to afflict multiple people, you couldn't do it as well before. And now this is also really good for Radiant Virtue combinations with Chemtech. Morellonomicon, health is down by 100. That's okay. So it gets 10 Magic Pen. Grievous Wounds 25 increased to 40%. It's just flat 40%. So massive buff to Morello. We're going to get the Leandri versus Morello war, coming back here soon. Okay. Everything's going to be totally great. Everything's going to be fantastic. No, but realistically, losing 100 health in exchange for getting 10 Magic Pen, definitely going to be willing to take that any day of the week. Executioner's Calling, down 5 AD, increase 15%. Grievous Wounds, definitely good. Chempunk, get out of here. Mortal Reminder, attack speed, 0. So it's losing the attack speed. Very smooge for Yasuo, I guess. Armor penetration up to 30%, and now movement speed, it's losing movement speed. That's actually really big. And then the Grievous Wounds is 40%. So now the question really does become LDR or Mortal Reminder. Do you need Grievous Wounds or do you want more damage? And that's what Riot has done here. The attack damage on LDR up by 5, but that's the way that you now view these items. Bramble Vest, reflect damage 4 to 6, Grievous Wound 25 to 45% or 40%. Definitely a buff for like Ramus, but realistically, Bramble, it just feels bad as an item until you get the Thornmail. Magic damage reflected to attackers, 10 plus 20% bonus armor, 10 plus 25%. Huge Malphite buff. Huge Malphite, huge Ramus buff, huge Ornn buff. That is a lot of extra damage just being included. And then the flat 40% just there. Okay, ADC class adjustments. So here we go. Passive, Perfection. Required critical strike chance, 60 to 40%. So what this means is I think that there are going to be certain AD carries that go Eye Edge first and then go Crit Cloak. And then build their follow-up items. That is what I think is going to happen. I've heard that Tryndamere is wrecking house on PvE with this change. Obviously, like Gangplank, this is going to be very interesting. We're going to have to go to the drawing board on a lot of things. This change is going to be really interesting. I think that we'll see like Caitlyn potentially go Infinity Edge into Crit Cloak. I think that we'll see like maybe Tristana do Infinity Edge into Crit Cloak. I think this is going to be really, really, really scary inside of laning. I'm wondering what the interaction actually is now with Graves because of his passive as well. If you could go like Crit Graves or something. This is going to change up ADC itemization, and this is probably going to bring back the Infinity Wars. And what I mean by that is, no, not Marvel, but if you guys remember, once upon a time, all non-Infinity Edge users were basically obsolete with the exception of Ezreal. He was the only one that could actually exist amongst all of the Infinity Edge users. And right now, we are mostly dominated by like a mix of ADCs, right? We have like Lucian, who's obviously like a Gale Force. He's a crit user, mostly utility. We have some Navari users inside of the meta right now. Ezreal occasionally pops up, etc. And then we have Varus with his lethality. With the Infinity Edge change, I think that it becomes an Infinity War once again, and all the other ADCs get pushed out. So it'll be interesting to see how it all develops. Navari Quickblades, Transcendence 60 to 40%, totally good. Bloodthirster Lifesteal is down by 3%. Shield, however, massively up. And the gold cost down by 200. So for solo lane Draven, solo lane Tristana, solo lane Graves, solo lane Aphelios, etc., huge buffs there. Huge buffs, obviously, for full lifesteal users, 80 carries inside of the jungle like Graves, etc. If you did end up going that build or something, very big. Mana growth on all the ADCs is up. They're doing this so that you no longer have to take Presence of Mind and so that you can take Overheal, so that the 80 carries are going to be even tankier when they have all of their items there. So very, very nice. Hopefully people stop taking cookies and boots as well and potentially start going Revitalize or like Overgrowth or something like that, utilizing the Resolve tree. And so that's everything that's going on there. And so we're just skimming by all the 80 carries really quickly. We can see that all of their mana growths have been adjusted for there. I do want to take a moment to point out Twitch, though. The base mana on Twitch is up, and the mana growth on Twitch, the reason this is really big is because I think that Twitch's best role is actually support AP Twitch, and we've actually seen bans of it in the LCK, support AP Twitch, I do think is his best. Other items. So cooldown 20 to 30 seconds on Blade of the Ruined King. Aurelia will have to wait 10 more seconds before the cooldown's up again when she's full build at Vamp Scepter. Ranged on hit damage 8 to 9%. Very big for Ezreal, I guess, if he would end up building this, but probably not. Siphon bonus magic damage 40 to 50, 40 to 150 to 40 to 103, 40 to 1 what? Okay, Demonic Embrace. Okay, maximum health burn, 1.8% for melee, 0.8% for range, 1.6 for melee, 1% for... Oh, okay, it's back for Malzahar. Okay, Malzahar actually gets a buff here with the Demonic Embrace change. So this is... Okay, this is very interesting. So the range champions are getting access to Demonic Embrace again. This is really good for, like, Swain as well. Is definitely another champion that will benefit from this. But yes, the melees do get hurt. So, like, Cho'Gath, Maokai immediately come to mind. Lilia, another one that does end up getting hit there. Essence Reaver, attack damage 45 to 55, gold cost up by 100, you'll take it. And then we move into ARAM balance changes. Death Timer, okay, so this is systems. Chemtech Drake has been settling back into the ref. Chemtech, 5% tenacity and heal and shield to 6%, really big for enchanters. I think that with the Infinity Wars on the horizon, enchanters will keep getting good. And so, you know, heal and shield power going up is going to be really big. So this is really good. And then we have the upcoming skins and chromas. So, okay. I will make a separate video talking about the meta now that we have a real patch, not the current patch 13.1. And I'll talk about, like, problems that are prevalent right now inside of pro play and, like, everything that we're seeing inside of the meta. I do think that the Infinity Wars are coming with the 80 carries, and I think that that's really good. Everything else, I mean, I think that Orianna probably is completely viable and just no one's playing her right now. There's a ton of champions that are actually viable and just aren't really getting picked right now. Obviously, we mentioned Udyr. So that is pretty much it for that. That's what's going on with the patch there. Now let's take a look at some of the skins. All right, so this is Lunar Emperor Thresh, and oh my lord, he can be my king. You know what I'm talking about? I would not mind being in that cinematic. I don't know why you're giving me that look. I told you I'm not gay. Okay, all right, well, you know, Zamudo just woke up. All right, Lunar Empress, Ashe. Well, she's not the Empress of anything here if you just listen to what I said. Okay, so the skin looks really nice. I don't know, it feels like some, I don't know, it feels like something I've seen before, though. I feel like there's another skin in the game that looks exactly like this, but it's not coming to mind. What is this? Kiana? No. Okay, Guardian Kha'Zix. Oh my lord! This looks like Judgment Dragon from Yu-Gi-Oh! Do you guys remember Judgment Dragon? Wait a minute, Judgment Dragon. This literally looks like Tell me this isn't Judgment Dragon. Tell me this isn't Judgment Dragon right now. Tell me this isn't Judgment Dragon. You're lying if this isn't Judgment Dragon. This is absolutely Judgment Dragon. Oh my lord, this is so cool. That is such a cool skin. It looks exactly like Judgment Dragon. Wow, really nice member. Oh my, I'm getting Judgment Dragon vibes everywhere. Lunar Guardian Malphite. This looks so cool as well. And then we move on to Prestige Porcelain Lysandra. This reminds me of that Pokemon or something, like the teacup. thing, and also Amumu's best skin in the game. She really does just look like she's some psychopathic thing, and she probably has, like, honestly, I wouldn't drink it. It's like that Black Mirror episode, okay? If she hands me one of these teacups, you know that you're going down the rabbit hole, and you're not waking up. So, I mean, do as you will. So these are the skins in game. Honestly, the Thresh skin in game looks like Ronin Warriors, if anyone remembers that, if you're a boomer like me. This does look really cool. This kind of looks like Oni from Saturday Night Slam Masters or something. This skin looks really, 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 really cool. The Ashe, it's not doing it for me, just like the splash art was, unfortunately. Kiana, what is going on here? She looks like she belongs in Ragnarok, doesn't she? Doesn't she look like an anime? Also, what are her hips? She's coming in here like Shakira, dude. You're gonna load into the game. Hips Don't Lie is gonna be on repeat. Like, what is going on here? What is her face? She looks like the Street Fighter chibi like battle thingy. Like what is she like? What is happening? Shakira, Hips Don't Lie. Kha'Zix. I'm sorry. What? What? This is like when Burger King or McDonald's, right, like have that image of the burger or the meal that you're going to eat, and it looks so delicious and gorgeous and pretty and everything, and then you get it in person at the restaurant, and Another one of the instances of the splash art looking literally nothing like the skin. There is literally not one chroma or hue that actually looks like the skin. Does anyone notice that? Does anyone notice how the golden white, sleek chrome, etc. is not anywhere? There is not one golden chrome, sleek white, neon white. It's just not here. I mean, Malphite has it. Look at this. Malphite, at least, like, you can see it, right? Malphite, you can see the gold, right? I mean, this is teal. But I guess it's kind of teal, but, like, actually, no, this is emerald, but it's teal in the chrome, or in the actual skin. That's really weird. That is really weird. But at least you can see it, right? Kha'Zix is like, did they even actually work on him? I mean, who really cares, right? Kha'Zix's not really in a very good position anyway. And that is going to do it for the patch rundown. So I hope that you guys enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Also, yes, Patron will have the update now to the tier list with 13.1b and the Infinity Wars and all that other good jazz. So that will be updated and posted on Patreon for solo queue and class changes. And that is it. So now we get to also make a competitive tier list, the things that I do every single year, typically for spring, MSI, and then Worlds. Normally I make 3 competitive tier lists, and so we'll make a video and talk about that too. So that is all, and see you in the next one. Bye-bye.